You make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Welcome into Greenie Sports Cards live on Tuesday. We are coming at you 7 p.m. Eastern, as we always do week after week. My name is Jeremy Levine, the man about town, and that town is Cleveland, Ohio, adjacent to Twinsburg, Ohio, the worldwide headquarters of Greenie Sports Cards. And man, we have a lot to talk about tonight, to recap, to look ahead, and to converse about. And you can join the fun along with us on any of the social media channels that you may be watching, whether that's Twitter, the old X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and other points in between. You can comment wherever you're watching. We can see those comments. Let us know where you're watching. If you have any questions, jump in as well. And we'll keep the show rolling tonight. A lot to cover. We are on the heels of an extraordinary weekend with the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. We can't wait to talk about that and what transpired out at the Independence Fieldhouse this weekend. Just a remarkable event that we're all really proud to have been a part of. And we'll keep it rolling. We've got the NFL draft to touch on. Cleveland stole the headlines all 3 days for different reasons. The NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers routed the Miami Heat last night to sweep a 4-game series. And in doing so, they set a margin of victory record in the playoffs of 122 combined points across those 4 games. Just a remarkable run. So we'll look forward to the Cavs to keep it rolling from where we are. Lots of other events coming up to touch on as well. And we'll be joined shortly by Joe Wysmierski out of Phoenix Card Shop, as he does week over week. Our resident expert has lots of hobby news to talk about. And of course, the man himself, Steve Greenberg, will join us shortly. Before we jump in on that and recap the Great Lakes Collectors Convention, it's billed as where the passions of sports fans, collectors, and sports talk enthusiasts collide, a place that offers great cards, a great location in Independence, and a great show. And it was just that. But it would not be possible without an entire village of participants and sponsors and supporters. And we want to take a moment to thank them for their efforts and their participation and trusting in Greenie Sports Cards to continue to bring you premier collectible events. Collectibles on SI supported the card show live stage as a presenting sponsor. The media partners, Big Blue Rock, Odyssey, Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan, the Big Play Network, ESPN Cleveland, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Selby is Godcast, and Here We Go Brownies podcast. We're all involved in the promotion and support and providing content on site. The supporting sponsors, LPV Production, we need to give a huge shout out to them. The Collectibles on SI Card Show live stage would not have been possible without their equipment and their support and their guidance. Gemini Sports Cards, Kent Sportswear, SGC, and TNT Cards for participating on the grading side. Lawley Insurance, AJ Dulce, who participated all 3 days, had a booth there and content. Fair Painters, the Hobby Ohio with the dude was a huge part of that show. Gibby's Collectibles, man, were they huge before, during, and after the show with their support, and the Cleveland Crunch as well. And of course, the behind the scenes team that is such an integral part of pulling this off from the top down. And that included Haley and Will and Drew and Adam and Cliff, and the list goes on and on. Matt and Alex Schott. Of course, you can see Alex later on. He'll be on at 9 p.m. tonight with the auction, which he does every Tuesday and Thursday through eBay Live. So make sure you stick around for that, or actually come back. We go live 7, 8 p.m. as we do every Tuesday. Greenie and I, we bring in hobby influencers, athletes, coaches, and other interesting news, and we try to bring that to you as we do in the live event space and the show we do here every Tuesday. So with that, we'll go ahead and welcome in the man himself, who all of this would not be possible, Steve Greenberg, aka Greenie.
Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
To your show, Greenie.
Hey, thanks once again for having me on. I do appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to join you on Tuesday nights. And that list of all the people that you thanked, I had the full list here, and I'm glad you did it. And it's funny, all the things that go into these shows, and once you get through the stage and the setup and all the production, like, man, we have to work the front door. And my parents were there helping working the front door, and the Rogats, my second family, and Mr. London was there, and then two of my fraternity brothers, along with Jacob and Rachel was there helping. So we had a lot of people helping out, and that's what it's about. And I appreciate you telling everybody all about the sponsors and LPV Productions, and there's so many things. It's not just me, you, and Adam, and there's a lot that goes into doing this.
Yeah, there's a whole village, and really the heart of the show as well is the vendors and the dealers themselves. There was, I believe, 236 tables worth of memorabilia and trading cards and sports cards and Pokemon, and Greenie is really a remarkable weekend because we work on these things. You're leading the charge. We're putting these things together to support you, and you hope they really go well. We've talked previously. There's a lot of different stakeholders in these things, from the exhibiting participants to the sponsors to the attendees. Everybody's there for different reasons, and if you ask every vendor, how was the show or how did it go, you're going to get multiple different answers for different reasons. And it's kind of like we've said this before, like throwing a birthday party and hoping people show up. You never truly know. And the response was really just extraordinary. And I think upon reflection and sneaking in a nap, I couldn't be prouder. The attendance grew by 50% from last year. There were upwards, if not over 3,000 people that joined us. You had more tables and more participants, more sponsors than ever before. And all of those people you named, and I'm sure we're even forgetting some, that go into wanting to be a part of this, to grow the show, to contribute in their own ways, it is really extraordinary. And I don't think there was a real complaint that weekend, which is really the most surprising to me. And not that, again, you don't want that, but the goal is to try and take care of each of those stakeholders. And on the whole, there was enough business to go around. There was enough money in that room. The vendors did well. The content was tremendous, and we're going to continue to roll that out week over week. But Greenie, what was your favorite moment or moments from this weekend?
All of them, obviously, but when I wrote a little post at the end of the night, and I hosted the little talk about fandemonium with Vince and Ray and Dustin, and really, while I was looking out there and I saw all the vendors and the interaction going on, and I know Sunday wasn't the busiest day, but there was still quite a few people there on Sunday, and I just I kind of just looked out and I watched, and I was like, this is really cool, and everything that we do is for them. And yeah, we do it for us, and we do it. There's monetary reasons, of course, but we wouldn't do a show if we didn't really enjoy this and enjoy watching everybody interact at this show. I mean, we love our Kirtland show that's this Saturday, and it's real easy to do a 40 table show and just be content, because I did that for 15 years before we started doing this. And, just to see all the people out there, and you could see them having fun, right? So that's really, that strikes me every year, but that really I really never had that perspective of being the center person on the stage looking down at everybody when I was hosting that show. And I thought that was pretty cool.
It was very cool. And we didn't even scratch the surface on thanking the participating talent that was with us. You can see this rolling scroll here. Content was all over the board in a great way, that we had hobby influencers and content. We had talks about insurance and the importance of insuring your cards with Lolly, and we had former Browns players the day after the draft. We had some incredible draft talk. We had just the Cavs
Alex
talk.
Tressler, right? Alex
Yeah, and
Tressler
Alex
joined us
there all
from
3 days.
Richmond, Virginia, and man, was he terrific. And I don't know if you've seen all the videos he put up, and from talking to Coach Senderoff, who was there as a vendor, right, from Kent State, the Division I college men's basketball coach, was set up as a vendor. That was really cool. And all the people that Alex talked to. I mean, he talked to Hayden Grove, but he also, Haley went with him around live. We were live on StreamYard going around the show, and and the other things that we forget is the food, right? We had Off the Griddle food truck and Scott's Fire and Ice and Sigmund's Coffee Stand. I mean, we could go on and on about all the different people that played different roles at this show, before we get to anything else.
Yeah, so let's give everybody a visual of that too. We have a great video by I think Flight
Flight Productions, yeah.
that supported that. So Haley, let's go ahead and run that short video, give people a visual of what took place this past weekend.
Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, now hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets. Cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win, and I'ma do it again. Watch me win, then watch me do it again. Tell them I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself. I ain't taking no loss. I ain't taking no loss. Look, I'ma always win. I ain't taking no loss, no loss, no loss.
Yeah, just very, very cool stuff, having flashbacks to that. I think two of my favorite moments from the weekend, one was the actual physical launch of the Muni Lock Kids. So that was the first opportunity to get these physical cards in hand. We had talked about this. McNeil from Big Play came up with these cards conceptually, and then we helped bring them to life. And the Great Lakes Collectors Convention was the first time you can actually get a hold of these. And moving forward, if you'd like to do that, make sure you go over to greeniecards.com and place your order. A portion of those proceeds will benefit the Cleveland Food Bank and their efforts. So Greenie, that was one, seeing those things come to life. And then the other one was, we had a chance to talk to Izzy Geraci for USA flag football. She's going to be going to the Olympics under the flag football, which is now a sport, certified sport in the Olympics. And after we were tossing the football around with her a little bit, which we consider Izzy to be the best wide receiver in Cleveland, and until proven otherwise. But there was a moment where a little girl came up to her, and there was a flash of that in the video. And Izzy played catch with her and signed a card and gave it to the little girl, and they had a moment. And I just thought, but for the show, that doesn't happen. And so now you have a little kid who might have been 4, 5, 6 years old, but getting to talk to an Olympian. Izzy got down on one knee and kind of was face to face with her and engaging and tossed the ball back and forth with her. And I just thought, that's incredible. And now this memory and young child will look back at some point on her life as Izzy's career transcends and say, yeah, I was in Cleveland at this show and I got to meet her.
Yeah, and while that was happening, I was flashing back to when Hannah Hidalgo was playing Papa Shot with a little girl at the event that we had in South Bend. So, yeah, these events that we put together, while there's a ton of buying and selling and trading going on and money exchanging hands, but there's really, the interactive part is really cool.
It is. And like you said, we, at the end of the day, it's a business. You want to make some money at it, but we don't do this for the money, or because nobody's retiring off of what these shows yield. But creating a place for commerce and memories is really the reward at the end of the day, and it's very cool. And then to have the timely part of the NFL draft taking place, the Browns stealing the headlines. We had a who's who of regional media there throughout the weekend, and then on Sunday, we kicked it off with Dog Talk. We had Hanford Dixon, Reggie Langhorne, and Greg Pruitt there, hosted by the roadman Kenny Rhoda for a draft recap. And then that was followed by Andy Baskin and Nick Wilson from 92.3 The Fan, along with Hayden Grove, who was a former content producer for Cleveland.com and now is a full-time singer after his appearance on The Voice. To hear them recap the draft the next day was pretty awesome. So as we sift through all the content this weekend, we've got some draft stuff for you. And Haley, let's give them a taste of what happened out there.
Browns told you yesterday when they traded out of number 2 overall and they passed on the most Hall of Fame-esque player in this draft, that is Travis Hunter. The Browns told you that we're not in a place to compete right now. The Browns told you that the Deshaun Watson trade was so bad, it set our organization back so far that we're going to have to spend a little bit of time to recoup the assets. You look at this roster, it's depleted of young blue chip talent because they haven't had a first-round pick in the last 3 seasons. So I think this season, unfortunately for the fans, is another season of waiting. It's another season of trying to stockpile as many draft picks and young talent as they possibly can.
Give us just kind of a quick recap of what maybe surprised you as a part of that, or some of the storylines that aren't being populated out there.
Well, I wasn't as surprised because Lyman had been talking about it for 3 weeks, and it seemed that they were working on that trade for 2.5 weeks. So Lyman knew something that I didn't know about what was going on with the trade down and going and getting Mason Graham. Now, I knew that they liked Mason Graham, but I thought they were just going to stick with Travis Hunter. I didn't realize Jacksonville was going to give them all that. But that's been talked about here. I'm surprised they went so heavy defense to start things off. Carson Swessinger seems like a fine young man, but I got to tell you, I only saw a handful of UCLA games. He was impressive in his workouts. He was impressive in his interviews. We'll see what the young man has.
For the two offensive guys over here, because you guys heard me say how disappointed I was when they went away from the number 2 pick and we ended up with the 5th pick. I would have been really, really happy, guys, if we'd have drafted that kid, that running back out of Boise. What's his name?
Ashton Gentry.
I mean, man, this kid is a beast. I mean, you guys seen him run? Boy, that would have made me happy, guys, if we'd have drafted him.
Hey, I'm going to let the running back take care of that one.
Well, we're talking about all the positions. I think they should have did more with the offensive line. Maybe they got somebody there that neither of us know anything about, but I don't care who you are, the running back. If you can't get the line of scrimmage, you can't get nothing.
Well, unless his name is Greg
Pruitt. For a running back. Hey, that's Greg Pruitt saying, I want the line of scrimmage at least. And throwing the football, quarterbacks, all that. You got to have a healthy line. So I'm hoping that they have done something that we are unaware of, or went a different way of helping that offensive line out, because that hurt us last year.
Did Shador fall, or was he drafted in the right place?
Both.
Ooh.
Both. I think.
Is that a topic for you?
I think he
Feel
fell.
good?
I think it was both. I think he fell, but then he was appropriately drafted at the right place at the same time. Like, I think that's where, from everything you heard with the whiteboard not being good, like with, the interviews being atrocious, like that can take your stock and drop it. Even if the film is round 1 or 2, like if all that stuff is so bad, then yeah, okay, he's for it. I think he was probably drafted with everything encompassing, probably drafted right around where he should have been.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Joe Flacco wouldn't give you a better chance to make the playoffs than Shador in his rookie year, but that has nothing to do with the future trajectory of these players. You draft players based on what you think their future is. But what I'm getting at is a lot of people were perplexed if the Browns trade back. You seem like you're in I know you don't want to say full rebuild, a mini rebuild if there ever is such a thing. Why sign Myles Garrett to that extension? And there's two schools of thought. One, great point. You clearly don't have a quarterback. You have to wait another year, and at that point, he's a rookie. At that point, Myles Garrett will be coming down in his career. But there's the other school of thought. All it takes is to revamp on offense and defense this season. Obviously, that's a tall task.
Yeah.
Given the Browns' history, of course. But all it takes is to nail that quarterback next year, and then you're cooking with fire.
And like Greg said, the Hunter kid would have been overly exciting to be able to watch him play offense and defense. And yes, remember we were the worst in the league with 15.2 points scored as an offense last year.
Right.
So it's nice to have quarterbacks. It's nice to have running backs. But if you don't have an offensive line, you ain't going to get much done. I am a firm believer that you win inside out. You got to have a solid line. And usually they need a lot of cohesiveness over a period of time. I don't think we've had the same offensive line start more than 2 games in a row in the last 5 years.
Right.
That's not good.
Right.
Very cool stuff, Greenie, and that's only just a taste of what's to come from the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. And as we put a little bit of a bow around the weekend, we have a couple of quick notes before we bring in our resident expert from Phoenix Card Shop, Joe Wysmierski, with his hobby news. We do want to remind people the Mountain State Collectors Convention is coming up May 16th through 18th. It'll be a little bit of a taste of the Great Lakes show, but down in West Virginia for a launch. That one's heading towards well over 100 tables at this point as well. Contact Greenie Sports Cards via the email or the website if you're interested in participating in that show. And then Greenie, real quick, there's 2 shows coming up this weekend in Ohio that I know are of note between Kirtland and Grove City.
That's right. Yep. The Kirtland show, where everybody knows your name, Jeremy, will be this Saturday, May 3rd, and at the Kirtland Senior Center, which we've been there for the last several years. And then that's on Saturday. And then on Sunday, our friends at the Shipshewana Card Fest are moving into Ohio, down in Grove City, where Card Collector 2's headquarters are. And they have the Grove City Card Fest. So that'll happen on Sunday. So if you want to come to Ohio, you come in Friday night, come to the show in Kirtland Saturday morning, and then just head down I-71 to Columbus. And like I said in my post, stop at New Heart Cards on Saturday night, go down to German Village for dinner, and get up Sunday morning and go to the Grove City Card Show.
Very good. We're going to be welcoming a little bit later to the show Jon Doss, who's the news director for News 5 here in Cleveland. He's the Emmy Award-winning host of Browns Countdown, but more importantly, as it relates to this show, he's a huge collector and very passionate about memorabilia. So we're looking forward to talking to Jon, who also was out at the Great Lakes show. So we'll get his take on it. We'll be talking to Jon. And before we bring in Joe, and I forget in my advanced age, I do want to give a shout out to Noah, who turns 19 years old today. I want to wish a happy birthday to Noah.
Happy birthday, Noah.
Who's rocking it down at Kent State.
Noah played a little part in Greenie Sports Cards this year. So, he's part of the team.
He is. He's in his own way. He's a contributor. So happy birthday, Noah. And with that, let's go ahead and welcome in our resident expert for hobby news, Joe Wysmierski.
What's happening, gentlemen?
How hot is it in Phoenix today, Joe?
It's gorgeous right now. We're probably low 80s. Not
good for you.
It's beautiful. A nice brisk wind this morning, but it's beautiful. You know what? I would really hope, is the ground dry in Cleveland right now?
Not right now. Yes, not in an hour.
Okay, so that's when the tears of the Browns fans will be coming down from the sky. I completely understand. Before I got into hobby news, dude, as a big Ohio State fan, you guys have to know getting Mason Graham, who is a game wrecker, is a great addition. And as a diehard Lions fan, I can tell you, if you don't build your offensive and defensive lines, you don't really have a foundation. So I love that little snippet of the interview with the former ball players. I will no longer be a little bummed when I open up a Leaf Metal Pro Set pack and I get a Greg Pruitt auto, because Greg Pruitt, like any great running back, he paid homage to his offensive line, and that's really what it is all about. And so shout out to Greg Pruitt for just being a stand-up guy.
That's right.
Players.
Yeah.
So
in addition to a 4 or 5 time Pro Bowl player, it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely good player. As we get into some hobby news this week, we have a baseball release, Topps Chrome Black. This is typically a box that you'd open. It's going to have one card that is encased in a one-touch, and then it'll have 2 separate packs where you have the ability to get some numbered cards as well as some cool inserts. But again, leading the way is our Washington Nationals this year with Dylan Cruz, James Wood as our top players in there, and then Jacob Wilson for the Athletics coming in. You will also find some good players like some Tigers who are doing great this season, leading the AL Central. So you'll have some Dylan Dingler in there, and then hopefully, as years to come in this product, you'll have Max Clark and some other great Tigers players. So this is a great product to get into. It is not a higher end product. It's fairly inexpensive. So you can get some great numbered cards, some great inserts. The Nocturnal card there is one of the chases. But most of the autos that you're going for, it's one auto per box, and it will be in that encased one touch. So it's an exciting product, but it's fairly it's not on the high end for price. So as you can see there's the Mookie Betts, which is he doesn't sign a lot in products, so having a Mookie Betts auto is really nice. And then Pulse Red Fox.
These look to be on-card autos, Joe. They don't look to be like stickers to me, huh?
That is correct.
That's great.
Yeah, that is correct. And so this would be the baseball release. Again, we are gearing up towards one of the biggest releases of the year, which is Bowman, which will be coming out next week. So this is kind of a nice appetizer before you start going prospect chasing next week.
All right.
Into the next product that comes out this week that has a ton of fanfare is Flawless Basketball. So Flawless Basketball, you're getting 2 suitcases per case. This is a high risk, high reward product. This is one that you typically see in a break for teams or players, and then you're also looking for game used logo men. So like you see there, you have the Chester logo men. These cards do carry a premium. You do get a box of cards that has anywhere from 8 to 10 cards, and then you have 2 to 3 cards that are encased at the top of the box when you open it. Some of them have a gem, which could be a sapphire, ruby, or a diamond, and then you have some rookie autos on top. But again, this is a very, very premium product. It is the top of the line that Panini does have to offer, and I happen to know that there are it's very limited the type of shops or breakers that get a hold of this product. But Blaze, who is out of Nevada, they're buying cases for upwards of the $19,000 to $20,000 for this product. So there's dual logo men, there's the Thompson twins, but it is a super popular product.
Always is. Flawless is terrific. In the game used, game worn, however you want to say it, logo men those are big bucks.
You know what's crazy about a product like this too, and it's not necessarily basketball, but Flawless football from like 17 earlier, so 2017 and earlier. Go ahead and look up some of the Hall of Fame patch autos in that product. It is insane the premium that those items actually drive. So I think I was looking up like a Jerry Rice 2016 patch auto to like 10, and I couldn't believe it was a 4-figure card because game used that game use piece that's in there. And then as they went newer and newer, they got more to the player worn. So very, very awesome product. Greenie, I don't know if you've ever had the chance to break Flawless before or open a box or a case yourself.
That would be a no. That would be a no. But I've seen it done on TV, and I probably have seen Jerry open them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've I know you've held the cards in your hand, so you know the cards. They have a thicker stock. They're typically all on-card autos, and then with those diamond cards, you get that certification that it is not.
Yeah,
super cool product. It is definitely kind of the cherry on the top for the end here. So that does come out this week, and then the third big headlining product this week is going to be Impeccable Football. Impeccable Football it's a 3-box case. This is one of the coolest products. It is a high-end product, but it probably doesn't get the notoriety that it should. Typically in a case, you're looking for one of the cards is a silver bar. They have gold bars and they have platinum bars. But these cards are phenomenal, and it's a case hit. And typically, sometimes it has the Super Bowl logo on it, the Deer logo on it. They're awesome cards, but they're the metal cards there in Impeccable. This is a product you can also get some higher end patch autos. But again, with this rookie class, you're getting the ability to have Michael Penix as a quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. You do have Roma Dunze in this product, who's good. You also have Ladd McConkey, who's a good rookie. But then you also have a big amount or a big selection of veterans and Hall of Famers that do sign in this product. So you have the Illustrious Ink, the Masterpieces, sketches. There are some duels that are also available in this product. So it is a huge chase, but it is an expensive product to definitely get into. It is a 1-pack item, and there you can see right there the rookie logo. I believe that's the silver bar right there, maybe a platinum one. But the silver bar is there, 1 troy ounce, and they have a pretty solid logo on there. So it's a fun product, but again, high risk, high reward. If you have the opportunity, jump on in on a break. If not, find your favorite card, look on eBay for it, for sure.
Yeah, these Flawless and Impeccable are really breakers delights. The top's chrome black. That's you can buy a hobby box of that and you can open those yourself. But man, you get into Flawless and Impeccable. That's you're like, how much is a case of Flawless basketball? $10,000?
It's probably anywhere from 8 to 10, and that's 8 to 10 would be cost, I would say.
Right.
I mean, you're probably pushing. So for one suitcase of that, you're probably looking at $8 to 10 to $12,000. Yeah.
That's a get in on a break. That's not a buy it yourself.
Yeah.
And even so, you get in on a break, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed a card.
That is correct too. So you'll also see some breakers they'll do like a serial number break. So that's another way to kind of spread out the cost. But that limits the amount of people that also can jump into it. So serial number can have a higher cost, but there's more of a likelihood that you could hit a card as opposed to going into a team break where you're a 1 in 32 shot. But in some cases, if we'll use baseball, for instance, if the big chase was like the Washington Nationals, that's going to carry a very heavy premium, but you do have the opportunity to knock it out of the park by getting several cards, out of that one box. I do also, side note, I have an update where we had James. He pulled the Baxter 101.
Okay. I remember that from about a month ago.
Yep. He noticed on Instagram that there's a request tab. It took him a little while to notice the request tab, but the Diamondbacks had reached out to him and said, we're going to be in further contact about acquiring that card. So that could be definitely interesting going forward.
Well, I hope he gets that chance, and maybe he'll get a something Corbin Carroll because I know that's who he collects. So good for James. Good for James. I like it.
Congratulations, gentlemen, on a great Great Lakes collectors convention. Also, like I was telling them the previous 2 weeks, it is a family affair. Check out shows. Also, the Mountain State Convention. Not only is it a beautiful logo, but it's a beautiful venue. So jump in there. And West Virginia is not terrible in May. If it's later, that's when the mosquitoes really start to come out. So jump in prior to mosquito season.
There you go.
There
All right,
have
Joe,
it.
thank
Thanks,
you
Joe.
as always for your insight and your hobby knowledge. We appreciate you, and we'll check in with you next week.
All right, thanks, gentlemen.
And thanks for checking in, Gavin. We love the Givey's family as well. And Michaela checking in for her comments on the shows. Just again, Greenie, a tremendous weekend. And we appreciate everybody participating, and we appreciate our next guest for participating as well, for coming out to the show and then joining us this evening. Jon Doss is an Emmy Award-winning sports director based here in Cleveland, Ohio. He is the host of Browns Countdown, and more importantly for this evening, he is a huge collector, passionate about the hobby, and we're looking forward to getting insight from him. Jon comes to us in Cleveland via California, the University of California, Berkeley. And then later he got his master's in broadcast journalism from Syracuse University. So he's got the West Coast to the East Coast, and he's settled here in the Midwest in Cleveland. And we're thrilled to have him. We appreciate his participation in the Greenie Sports Cards event. And we will go ahead and welcome in News 5 Sports Director Jon Doss.
Hi, John. What's happening?
I didn't know you were going to run down my LinkedIn resume, but I appreciate that.
John, we have to fill an hour here.
Well, we only got about 23 minutes left.
There
right.
we go.
That's right. And we're in as much as we all want to talk draft and Cavs, that's not for tonight. Tonight's about cards. And you were able to actually join us on Sunday at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. And really, you're no rookie at cards either. You've been doing it for a little bit. So,
well, we got to come up though with a category. There's rookie and there's veteran. What are you if you took 20 years off before you came back to the game? Which, there's so many of us that
you're
came
like
back
the comeback player of the year.
20. Exactly. I feel
That's
like Flacco, but like well, at this point in the hobby, I guess, 40-year-old Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year. That's what I feel like. I mean, but my story is like so many others, right? Like I came back in 2020. There he is.
Flacco is back. Yeah.
I've been hooked for, since then, since I got back in.
Yeah, that's a lot. When everybody did it as a kid, no matter who you are, you had cards as a kid, whether you collected them, passionately, like I did. Everybody had cards. You always open a pack here or there, somehow, some way, and then life happens, right? You go to college, you have a family, and then COVID happened, and everybody got back into cards because we were sitting at home, and we hear that a lot. And there were no sports for a couple weeks or months, whatever it was, if I can remember correctly. But everybody looked at their cards in their closets and started to get back into it. A lot of people started getting into the new cards, and we saw the things that happened at Target and Walmart. But you started getting back into your childhood cards and the teams that you collected, and a lot of the '90s players.
You know what it was for me? I love my job. I think I have one of the best jobs on the planet. I'm very, very lucky. I'm very fortunate to have the job I have. And I worked very hard to get there. One of the few drawbacks of this job is that I have become somewhat desensitized to sports, right? I don't have the same fandom that I used to have growing up or that I used to have even 10 years ago. Nowadays, I really only care about the teams I'm covering, right? I want the Browns to win every game. I want the Cavs to win every game, the Guardians, because it makes my professional life a hell of a lot more fun. I think getting back into the hobby has kind of allowed me to reconnect with some of that fandom that I have lost over the course of my professional career, and allowed me to get back into some of those, old nostalgic memories that I haven't been in touch with for decades.
Yeah,
John, I think that's a really interesting point, because we were thinking over the weekend, Coach Senderhoff from Kent State was out there. I know you had a chance to talk with him. We had Ryan Gensler from the University of Akron. We know our friend Coach Kielsmeyer at Cleveland State. They're big collectors, and it seems there's a lot of coaches out there. And your point about being desensitized or so focused on sports in a certain way that there seems to be a common thread where you could stay connected to sports through the collectible space, and it brings you back to your youth and the nostalgia piece of that. I just thought there was an interesting parallel there.
Yeah, and our hobbies are that, right? Our hobbies are our escape from our daily life. Now, it's ironic that my hobby happens to be collecting sports cards, and my job happens to be reporting in sports and broadcasting in sports. So in some way, they're intertwined. But it's a nice escape, and it's a way that I can dive back into that fandom that I used to have when I was a kid that I've kind of pushed into the background.
Jeremy and I talk a lot about how we can all buy cards online. We can go on to eBay, check out my cards, whatnot, but really nothing beats face-to-face interactions and walking around a card show and looking in a case or digging through a box. And I know you've been to shows around the area, and like, what are you seeing out there when you go to the shows?
I mean, I got to walk the show with you on Sunday, right? And that was a lot of fun because 99% of the fun at a card show is not the card you bought. It's not the card where you're finding the stuff that you want, right? You knew that I was on a hunt for a very specific card on Sunday for the couple hours I got to walk around your show. It's seeing all the stuff that maybe you weren't interested in or you didn't know existed, or seeing things that are just really, really cool. I saw in your case, it was I'm a big game worn patch guy, and it was the R off of a Zydrunas Ilgauskas jersey. I didn't grow up a Cavs fan in the city of Cleveland. I didn't grow up a big Z fan, but how cool is that card? And it's a piece of history, right? And getting to see something like that, even though I had no interest in buying it, but getting to experience it, that's the really cool aspect of these shows.
John, you mentioned you were desensitized a little bit and you're finding your way back to connecting with sports. Take us back to your youth, back to California. When did you first connect with sports, and what was perhaps the memorabilia or the collectible where you were inspired to chase this as a career?
Yeah, man, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up going to both Giants and Oakland A's games. We went to more Oakland A's games. I remember vividly every couple of months my dad's company would do this bus trip to Oakland, and we would go to an A's game, and they would do a peanut fight on the bus afterwards, and it would scare me to death as a little kid. But those were the Ricky Henderson A's, the Dave Stewart A's, Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco, and they were winners, and it was infectious for the whole Bay Area. I remember I got an autographed Dave Stewart ball, and I think I had him autograph it at a game, and to me that was my gateway into memorabilia and into sports and into collecting. I've always been an athlete. I grew up, the third of three boys in our household, and we were all into sports all the time. But to me, it was that, and I got an Emmitt Smith card when I was 4 years old. And I'm in a household in the early 90s full of San Francisco 49er fans. And how could the baby of the family be as different as possible? I had to be a Dallas Cowboy fan. So I got this Emmitt Smith card when I was like 4 years old, and I hope that I still have it somewhere in a binder somewhere in my mom's house or something. But those were my gateways into this hobby.
And you said growing up in the Bay Area, we know there's some teams in the Bay Area pretty well here as Cavs fans, but and that's fine. Everybody's got to collect who they like, but I know you like Curry, but you like the old Warriors too, and Jason Richardson and Baron Davis, right? There's other players.
Let me preface this, Steve. Let me preface this before I get all the hate mail. This is something I don't discuss a lot. I've been in Cleveland now for 7 years. I want the Cavs to win every game. I'm raising an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old to be Cavs fans. I try to tell them how lucky they are that they live in one of the 30 cities that has an NBA team. We try to go to games. They play junior Cavs basketball. I want them to win every game. I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up a Warrior fan. It's something that when I talk about the desensitization and the kind of pushing my fandom, into the background, a lot of that is because I'm in Cleveland. And I understand the role that Cleveland sports plays in this town and how difficult it would be to respect my opinion, even though I don't give my opinion a lot, to respect my opinion, knowing that I grew up in the Bay Area, I grew up a Warrior fan. But you mentioned the older guys. That was my gateway into the Warriors. So I actually grew up about an hour outside the Bay and was just like on the right on the border of the Sacramento market and the Bay Area market. So we got a lot of Sacramento Kings games. So I actually grew up watching a lot of Kings games. But when I went to college at Cal, man, we would take the BART in the Bay Area over to the Oakland Alameda Coliseum, and we would watch Warrior games for $4. I mean, it was a different time. And that Baron Davis, Jason Richardson, We Believe Warrior team was like crack for me. Like, that's how I got like really interested in the NBA and interested in basketball. So I like to go back to those teams, the Monte Ellis type teams. And it just so happens a lot of those guys, not Monte, but Baron and Jason Richardson, they were rookies in those 90s top sets, right? The Topps Chrome and the, to me, some of the best sets still in existence. So it's very cool to be able to go back and look at those cards, and they've become obviously quite a niche in this hobby.
John, you have a remarkable display behind you, as we can see. A collection, tremendous collection. I would be trying to collect Emmys, which you already have acquired. I would like one of those.
I'm to the point I'm giving those away, Jeremy.
Yeah, all right. I'll see if I can acquire one of those. I'll ask you a two-part question. So, out of your collection, what is the one piece or maybe two pieces you're most proud of that you've acquired? And then what is the chase piece for you that now that you're re-inspired and invigorated, what do you hope to go after?
So I got back into the hobby, and I was telling Steve when I got back in and started examining some of the cards that my brother and I had pulled when we were kids. We had pulled a 1997 Metal Universe Michael Jordan Platinum Portrait, which is a huge card. And ours, unfortunately, was the back card on a pack. So it had a roller mark, kind of where the pack was sealed, because those cards were so delicate. Those were the perforated ones. And I ended up sending it to PSA and got a PSA 2. It was not great, but we still sold that card for $8,000. And I turned around and all that money went back into cards. And the first card I bought, because it stood out so much, and I thought, this has been a chase card. It's an early set of the chase card. Actually, it's the first year of the chase card. And the first year Steph Curry Kaboom was what I went after. I think that the first year of it all, plus the fact that the Kaboom seems to be the insert that people are chasing these days, I thought was really cool. My favorite card, you can see I was prepared for this. I told you I'm a patch guy. I'm a game use patch guy. More than anything, I am a specific day game use patch card. It's not enough for me that it says game used. So I want the provenance. So this is, and people are going to hate this card. People are going to hate this. I get it. People are going to hate it. This is part of the logo from Game Used Draymond Green jersey 2018 NBA Finals, Game 3. And if this is a Steph Curry card, it's
I hate that card.
I know you do. For me, the provenance
cool.
comes not just because I know the game. It's the NBA Finals. It's center jersey logo. That was also my second month on the job here at News 5 in Cleveland. So for me, it's even more special because I can think back to that game. I was at that game. I can remember that game. I can remember the life change of moving to Cleveland. And then all of a sudden, like in my second month, my team is playing the team in the city I'm covering for the NBA championship. So there's a lot that goes with it. You asked about the chase card, Steve, right now. You know what it is. I told you about it on Sunday. I'm trying to build the complete rainbow of the 2022 Bowman's Best rookie auto, Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan is a big name in our household. My kids are, both my kids are half Vietnamese. They love Stephen Kwan. They identify with Stephen Kwan. He's their favorite guardian. So we're working together to put it together. Right now, I've got all of them. Here's the number to 10 red. All I'm looking for is the superfractor, which I know where it is, and I don't think it's coming to me anytime soon. But I need the cracked ice out of 25. If you're watching and you got the 2022 Bowman's Best Stephen Kwan rookie auto, cracked ice out of 25, you know where to find me.
Yeah. And I know Michaela was made a comment. She collects as well. I think she has a pretty decent Stephen Kwan collection from what I see on Twitter.
She's the one I told you that.
Yeah, right.
We're both looking for a specific one of one that the same dude has on Instagram, and his collection is insane. Like, it's not about money for this guy, clearly. So no offer is really going to entice this guy. I got to hope that out of the goodness of his heart one day he's ready to move on. But at least I know where it is. And you guys know when you're searching for a specific card, knowing where it is does give you some comfort. You know that it exists. You know that it's been pulled.
That's right.
You've started a dialogue with the person that he knows that one day, if he ever wants to move on from that card, that he's got somebody he knows is interested. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, like speaking of knowing where the card is, I mean, as a Curry guy, the 101 Topps Chrome Superfractor from 2009-10 supposedly has not been pulled, and nobody has that card, and that's Curry's arguably probably his best card. I mean, I'm sure there's some other,
it's his best card.
That's got to be, yeah, and that's like the the Luka Doncic Black Refractor, right? Those two monster cards, $1 million cards, haven't been pulled yet.
That Topps Chrome Superfractor Curry could be a $10 million card.
Could be, absolutely.
If I hit the lotto, I always say if I hit the lotto, my first purchase would be a Topps Chrome Gold Refractor out of 50 Curry 2009. Sure. I don't know what I pay. If money was no option, I don't know what I would pay for that Superfractor.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? I mean, as you know, like he didn't do anything for his first 2 years. Can you imagine if you just bought 3 or 4 gold refractors for $20 and just stuck them away?
You could have bought those gold refractors for a couple $100 in 2018.
Yeah, well, whatever.
When I go back and look at everybody's the same, right? Everybody that got into the hobby in 2020, they go back and you look at the numbers from, before the boom, and it either breaks your heart or, just makes you a wreck because, yeah, I mean, the golds that are selling for $3,000 now that are numbered to 2009, you could have got those for under $100.
Right. Yeah. I sold 2 boxes right. I think it was after the National in 21 or 22. And I mean, I'll never know who bought them or who opened them, if they're even open. And obviously they don't have the Curry because we would have heard. So hopefully they're still sitting on.
Well, they've been through a scanner now at this point that they've taken,
Sure. Right. Sure. Yeah. Well,
we're talking with Jon Doss, who is the sports director for News 5 here in Cleveland, as well as the Emmy-winning host of Browns Countdown. John, I want to ask you a question coming at the draft from a little bit of a different angle, but given your unique position in this, the Cleveland Browns stole the headlines all 3 days of the draft for various reasons. On Friday night or Thursday night, it was the trade. Saturday night, it was drafting a quarterback, probably out of pocket. No pun intended. And then they were the team that ended up selecting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. Make the connection between the Browns and perhaps the hobby industry and Shedeur and what this does for Cleveland and perhaps Shedeur being the highest profile athlete of the draft. What does that impact have? And the not necessarily the circus, because I don't want to call it that, but there's going to be a lot of attention on Cleveland Browns training camp and Shedeur himself within the quarterback competition. What does that mean for the memorabilia industry and his cards in particular? Yeah,
I think the speculation on Shedeur may be unlike anything we've ever seen, right? I think that the most talked about guy in this draft, right? It's either Travis Hunter and Shedeur or Shedeur and Travis Hunter in that order. And this is a guy who we all know very publicly fell to the 5th round of the Browns. I think it's interesting because the Browns do have a really big collector base, a lot like a lot of these Midwest teams like Green Bay and Pittsburgh and Detroit. We know have a lot of collectors in the hobby. But Shedeur is going to be, I think, guys, Shedeur is going to be the chase this summer, right? And why wouldn't he, right? Because this is a guy that, even though he fell to the 5th round, other than Cam Ward, is he not most in contention to potentially start for his team? Right? You don't have to worry about all the social media following, the 2.5 million Instagram followers he has. Obviously, it's a huge base, but he's also in a really unique and potentially very good situation. If he proves himself this summer, he could be the starter for this football team in week 1. He could be.
And with that being said, a 5th round draft pick will be the most expensive card in the hobby this year.
Yeah, who would have thought that, right? Although going back a couple of years, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, was a very hot name in the hobby.
But it wasn't the beginning of the year. I mean, it didn't 6-7 weeks into the season before anybody heard of Brock Purdy.
I bet you Shedeur Sanders' card market will be hotter than Cam Ward's. And Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Because nobody cares about the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, and it was the least it was the most anticlimactic number 1 overall pick ever, wasn't it? And the poor guy, everybody's talking about Travis Hunter. Oh, Cam Ward goes number 1. Oh, by the way, Travis Hunter's about to go. Let's get our popcorn ready, right? So I think Shedeur Sanders is the chase.
And listen, Cleveland Browns fans are fanatics, and that's what it is. We buy the heck out of Brady Quinn and Johnny Manziel, and we can go through the 40 quarterbacks that have started since 1999, but we buy those players. We do. And we buy their cards, we buy their jerseys, we get their autographs, and the Browns fan in Oregon buys them too.
Which is crazy to me that Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, I think, are both still historically way undervalued. Of course, we know the hockey. We know that that those positions maybe don't get as much love, but man, I'm tempted sometimes. You can get some incredible Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb cards for a fraction of the price of so many of these quarterbacks.
You can, but the hobby tells you to not. You buy them because those are the cards you buy because you love them and you collect them, not because you're going to resell them.
Well, and for the most part, as a collector, now there are so many facets of this hobby and this industry, really, right? But as a collector, if you collect what you love, right, you're never going to feel like you lose. The one time I tried to flip cards was Baker Mayfield during the hobby explosion. And I made some incredible choices, made a good deal of cash, and then I held onto some cards too long. So I think ultimately I probably broke even on that. But it's funny. We've been collecting Stephen Kwan since he got in, right? And then all of a sudden he's flirting with 400 early last season, and his cards blew up. These were not cards that we bought in an attempt to flip. We bought the cards we love. We bought the player that my kids love, and it just so happened he was on a tear, and he's a really great player, and Major League Baseball was finally seeing that. But that's always like my recommendation, right? The flipping game and the buying this, hoping it's going to go. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. But if you buy what you love and you buy who you love, those cards can go to nothing, and they're still going to be displayed, back here on the wall.
That's right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you as we head towards wrapping this up here.
Because we know Jeremy's got a hard off time. If it's after 8 o'clock, we're cutting to black.
Yeah, I got places to be, like bedtime and dinner and the kids. But I was going to ask if you did have any advice based on coming in and out of the hobby and back in, and I don't know if you can top that. That if you collect what you love, you'll never go wrong. So we'll leave the advice at that. I want to ask you at this point then, what do you have on the horizon? We've got the Browns coming up, the Cavs are in the playoff. What does Jon Doss day in and day out look like for the next couple of weeks?
Obviously, we're all hoping the Cavs are playing in the finals. Everybody in this city is hoping that. We at News 5 specifically are really hoping that, because those NBA finals games are on ABC, which is a big deal for us. And then, boy, the Browns, the NFL offseason is very short. It's already over. Rookie minicamp starts in a couple of weeks. That will, of course, be a circus, given not just Shedeur, but a rookie quarterback battle potentially and everything that goes with that. And then, the Browns preseason, also on News 5. We've been the Browns local partner here for almost the last 10 years, maybe just over 10 years. And it will be the most anticipated, the most viewed Browns summer, Browns preseason, maybe ever. And I say that going back to my first season, which was 2018, which had a rookie quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Everybody was very interested in him. But if you remember, Baker didn't play all that much in the preseason for all the obvious reasons. Shedeur Sanders is going to play a ton. Dylan Gabriel's going to play a ton. Kenny Pickett's going to have to play a ton in the preseason. It's going to be must-watch TV come August and September.
And we'll be right there watching on Channel 5. But listen, John, we really appreciate it. And I know you're from the Bay Area, but listen, Jim Donovan was from Boston, and he's one of our own, and now you're one of our own.
I say this, guys, listen, and I know Jeremy's like counting down the seconds here. I'm kidding, Jeremy, I'm kidding. Let me say this in closing, okay? Yeah. Clevelanders, more than any place I've ever been, and Northeast Ohioans, care so much about being from here. And it is important because everybody else in the world seems to take aim at Cleveland. And Cleveland is the butt of the jokes, and everybody kind of comes together and says, yeah, you know what, that's fine. We love where we live, and we love this community. But I would argue that it also speaks volumes when people come from other places in this country and choose to live in Cleveland and choose to have kids in Cleveland and raise a family in Cleveland and stay in Cleveland. We love Cleveland. I'm raising Clevelanders. Am I from here? No. Did I grow up watching Bernie Kosar and the Browns in the 80s? No, I get enough of it from Hanford Dixon. But we chose this place. We love Northeast Ohio, and we love Cleveland, and I love this hobby.
And we'll catch you at a card show soon because we know that you go to them.
I try to be incognito, but you'll usually see me with my kids, and 85% of the tables we got to stop at are Pokemon tables, which is fine. I'm happy to do it. But I was also happy to get 2 hours to myself to roam around you guys' spot.
Got it.
Very
Perfect.
Good. Much respect to you, John. Thank you for choosing Cleveland. Thank you for choosing to raise Clevelanders. We appreciate you and all your support. And we look forward to talking to you and Jeremy Guy again about his collectible journey. So we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Right. Thanks, John.
All right. Our thanks to Jon Doss, sports director for News 5 Cleveland. And again, there's so many thanks to go around, Greenie, from this past weekend, Great Lakes Collectors Convention. Our thanks tonight for Haley behind the board. We got the auction at 9 o'clock Eastern on eBay Live. Make sure you join Alex Schott, and we'll keep it rolling. Greenie, appreciate you allowing us to do this every week, and may the cards forever be in your favor.
Catch you next week at Kirtland, where everybody knows your name. Have a good night, everybody.